Hey there, Kitchen Mutants. It is your favorite daddy man in the kitchen. Today I'm actually in the pantry, which feels really weird. Y'all are going to have to forgive me. I'm holding the camera. This is something a little bit different than what we normally do, obviously. No big produced video, no big kitchen set going on. We are in the pantry. I do have a big pantry, as you can kind of see here. It's kind of hard to get a good feel for it, but we got a big pantry, and Hubs and I have spent, well, we always have our pantry pretty well stocked, but the past week or two, we have been obviously kind of stocking up a little more, trying to get our pantry ready for potentially, we are here in Illinois, Chicago, in a partial lockdown. They are still letting us go to stores and things like that, things that we do need, we can run out for. But we've been trying to slowly grab some things and stock up our pantry. That way, if for 2, 3, 4 weeks we need to be locked completely down, we are taken care of food wise. So I apologize for the lighting. I apologize for the shakiness. What we're going to do now, we just spent the morning taking all the groceries that we had kind of sitting on the floor, doing a little bit of rearranging. It's a good time. You're locked in. You might as well go ahead and do a little cleaning, which is what we just did. We took everything off the shelves, completely reorganized. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk you through our pantry. I'm not saying it's a perfect pantry, but it's pretty well stocked for a couple weeks. So I want to try to give you some suggestions. You're not going to see me on camera a lot. I'm going to try to have the shelves on the camera so you can kind of see what we're working with. I do want to say I am not a doctor. I am not a health professional, but I do know quite a bit about food. For several decades I've been cooking, so all this advice I give you, please, if you have any health issues or anything like that, please make sure you check with your doctor. Go online. There are a lot of good sites that you can go to that talk about food allergies and all those kind of things. And if I'm talking about things about when you're sick, obviously check out the CDC website, check out the World Health Organization website. I think there's even a virus website being run by the government right now. I don't know if there's a food section on those. I haven't checked, but I'm sure there are some dietary websites that you can check out for actual advice from a doctor. I'm giving you just personal advice from how I know I am when I'm sick. So let's go ahead. We're going to start at the top. So at the top here, I have our coffee and teas. Teas are great when you're not feeling well. The one thing they do recommend, I know, is that you're going to treat this like a somewhat normal flu, and you need to keep yourself hydrated. If you're like Hubs, he cannot stand plain water. He needs water with something in it in order for me to get him to stay hydrated. So tea is a perfect example for that. What you can do is you can take 4 or 5 tea bags, any kind of tea you like. Green tea is great. I've got green tea with pomegranate there. You can mix your teas, mix and match. Start with a base tea like a green tea or an Irish breakfast tea, something like that. And then, put in a flavored tea with it. 4 or 5 tea bags, take a pitcher, fill it with water, throw it in a pan, get it up to a boil with the tea bags in there, cut that heat off, let it sit for about 20 minutes until it cools down, pour it back in the pitcher, put it in the refrigerator, and you've got a big old container of tea. You can do the exact same thing if you got a container that has a nice tight sealed lid on the top. Throw it out on your balcony or in your backyard, let it catch that sun all day long, and you've got a nice pitcher of sun tea. When you feel kind of yuck, tea is not a bad thing, cold or hot. That is something you definitely want to have. Coffee as well. We're locked in, so you're going to just feel because you're not moving around. So coffee is a great idea as well. All right, down to the baking shelf. Baking, not essential, obviously, right now, but get it stocked. I've got all kinds of stuff. I've got sugar back here. I've got brown sugar. I've got flour, cocoa powder, chocolate chips, dried fruits, nuts, things like that. That all comes in handy if you follow the Daddy Man account. You saw that it was Hub's birthday last night, and I, obviously could not make his big old German chocolate cake. That is his favorite because we're not running out anymore. But I did have enough stuff in my pantry that I made a delicious little bar, baked container bar. That's also helped by having a cake mix. This is organic cookie mix. You might want to have, some cake mixes, some cookie mixes, things like that. You can do amazing things with these different mixes. I've got some Jello, powdered sugar, just little things like that. Again, baking shelf, not the most crucial shelf in your pantry during this shutdown, so to speak. All right, this is an important shelf. This is your pastas, rices, beans, all of that kind of good stuff. As you can see, I got tons of pastas going here. Fettuccine, I got spaghetti, orchetti, ziti. That's great pastas to have on hand. You notice I got some Protein Plus Barilla here. That's not our normal pasta. When you go to the grocery store, do not panic right now. The pasta aisle is probably going to look like, it was just torn apart by a tornado. Not a whole lot there. Don't worry about it. I mean, come on, Protein Plus, whatever, you're getting a little extra protein. It may taste a little different, but pasta is a great staple. It's not going to go bad, and you could do a ton with pasta and rices. I've got some couscous here, really delicious. I've got some lentils, and I've got lentils here as well. I've got lots of beans. I've got wild rice, ramen. Don't underestimate a good old 25-cent pack of ramen. There's a lot of stuff. Excuse me. There's a lot of stuff you can do with ramen. I don't necessarily recommend using the little flavor packet that comes with it. It is pretty much all salt. Definitely, if you're not feeling good and you're trying to keep hydrated, that is not going to help a lot. But the ramen itself is, man, you can add in some frozen vegetables. You can add in a little bit of protein, some tofu, whatever, a little sauce. And you've got a real quick instant meal. When you're not feeling good, all you got to do is boil this ramen for like 5 minutes, add a little bit of chicken stock, and you can probably keep that down when you're not feeling great. Again, more rices. I've got some excuse me, I'm just drawing a complete blank here. I've got some pasta back here. So that is your pasta and your rice aisle. Those are definitely important staples because, again, these dried pastas, these dried rices and things are going to last for months in your pantry. They're not going to go bad, and they're definitely good things to have on hand. All right, let's go down one more here. This is our pet shelf, and man, that's really dark. You can't see it, but don't forget about your pets. This is a super stressful time for your pets as well. You're home. They're not used to you being home. Hopefully they're happy about that. Our cat's pretty happy about it. She won't get out of our laps. But make sure, you have, this is her dry food and her wet food. Make sure you have a couple weeks on hand right now. We got her catnip with all her little toys in it so she can stay happy. Her treats, we've got some extra, wet foods back here. That's super important as well. Don't forget about your pets. I would hate for you guys to be all stocked up and then locked in, and then you forget that you're out of pet food or whatever, and you got to run out for your pets. That's definitely an issue. All right, we're going to go down now. This is our liquid shelf. Gatorade, Gatorade, Gatorade. I can't say enough about Gatorade. It keeps you hydrated. The number one thing they're saying, or that they always say really, is if you want to keep yourself from getting sick, you need to keep yourself hydrated. If your body is not hydrated, your body is not fighting off infections and colds and flus and little things like that. So make sure you have Gatorade. I've also got some V8, and yes, V8, a lot of people are not a big fan, but it is filled with tons of vegetables in liquid form. You can thin that out because I'm sure if you're not feeling great, real thick tomato V8 is not going to be like, ooh, yum, but thin it out a little bit. It's also great for cooking. You can add it in with a can of like chicken soup or something like that, just to give it that nice little tomato flavor, make it a little different, and, make it just again something different, but it's great. I've actually used V8 in pasta when I'm trying to make a quick pasta sauce. Can of diced tomatoes, a little bit of V8, some garlic, some onions, and you got a yummy pasta sauce. So again, water. This is just some tonic water, obviously, for the bar or for whatever purposes. It's just, again, it's not plain old water, and it will help you. I've got some iced coffees, obviously not super important. We've got some ginger ales. Ginger ales are always important when you're not feeling great. I love warm Vernors. Warm Verdict, yes, you should have had a VD because Mutant Theater is in the house. And I see that Frank is here as well. Rearranging everything. Yeah, of course you're rearranging. You're stuck in the house. This is a great time to clean. A clean house is a healthy house, right? So again, back to the Vernors. I love Vernors. I'm from Michigan. So any kind of ginger ale, whatever your favorite ginger ale is, make sure you got that on hand because that is perfect when you're not feeling great. All right, we're going to make a swing here, but not try to make you guys nauseous. This is trying to see over my shoulder. This is a big shelf right here, and an important shelf. We've got some bagged soup mixes. Normally, I'm not a huge fan of mixes because they have tons of preservatives and things like that in the ingredients. But you know what? This is a special time, and you got to do what you got to do, and you got to keep things on hand. So you can get these mixes. You got creamy potato, you got chicken noodle, vegetable beef. All these soups are great starters. You can always, I will admit, take this creamy potato soup. I always have it on hand. Throw in some curry paste or dried curry. Throw in some Chinese 5-spice and maybe a little sesame oil. Throw in some vegetables, throw in some rices, some things like that. And you instantly have a different flavored soup that is delicious. So make sure you have the soups on hand. I've got barbecue sauces and different marinades on hand. Salad dressing is great to marinate your different meats. Hot sauces, soy sauce. Soy sauce is an instant, makes anything taste delicious and Asian. I've got orange sauce. Peppers, you can keep peppers in your pantry. It's great for sorry you guys, I'm a little messy with the camera. It's super dark. Peppers are great. You can get dried mushrooms. I don't know if you can see these. These are dried mushrooms. Mushrooms are not going to keep in your refrigerator longer than like a week and a half, but these dried mushrooms are great. You could just reconstitute them. Let me get one out here. This is a dried mushroom. You could just throw it in some hot boiling water and boom, you got instant mushrooms. And again, those mushrooms are not going to last in your refrigerator longer than about a week. Gravies, again, I prefer to make my own gravy, but they do come in a jar. They're a little salty, no big deal. These are better than bouillon. They're basically like a consomme. I keep these in my pantry at all times, and they are certainly perfect right now. You just add a little bit of water and boom, you instantly have bouillon. It comes in beef, it comes in turkey, it comes in chicken. That's perfect for your soups, anything you would normally use a stock. And again, when you're not feeling great, a little bit of chicken stock is gonna help you, get something in your body and get your body fighting off that problem that you have. We've got stovetop stuffing. Again, I'm not a huge fan of the mixes, but this is so versatile. Not only can you use it as a skinner, take half this package, take a pound of ground turkey meat and an egg, mix it all together, and boom, you just took that pound of turkey meat, and now instead of feeding 2 to 4 people, you're feeding 6 to 8 people. Obviously, you don't have that many people in your house, or maybe you do, but you've got leftovers, and you've got lunches, and you've got additional dinners. Or this, again, if you're not feeling great, this has got some bread in it, and just a little bit of seasoning. You can make it really wet, and this is gonna, stay down when you're not feeling great, and it's not gonna go bad. Everything on this shelf is gonna last for months and not go bad. I'm not gonna be locked down for months, but it's definitely gonna last a couple weeks. All right, Canned tomatoes. I can't, as you can see, get enough of canned tomatoes. Gonna make a quick pasta. Gonna make a lot of different things. You are going to need canned tomatoes. I got diced, just plain old tomatoes. I got the kind with the garlic and the olive oil already in it. You can get your tomato paste. You can get your crushed tomatoes. They're good for pastas. They're good for soups. It's good if you want to just take a little bit of beans and throw it in there with your diced up tomatoes. Maybe if you've got some frozen kale or some frozen spinach, that is a perfect topping. Garlic, diced tomatoes, frozen kale or spinach, and maybe some white beans. That's the next thing. There's tons of beans over here because beans are so versatile and you can do a lot with them. You've got your tuna, which obviously is a healthy protein, and y'all know how to make a tuna salad, I'm sure. A little bit of onion, a little bit of celery, a can of tuna drained, a little bit of salt and pepper. And man, if you are not feeling good, throw that on a piece of toast, and that is probably going to sit with your stomach when you're not feeling great. Again, when you're not feeling great, I know they say starve fever, feed a cold, but you do hit that point in the flu or the fever or whatever where you got to get something in your body beyond the liquids. So I'm trying to give you some thought on, easy things that you can keep in your stomach. All right, up here, we've got your basic oils, your basic vinegars, fish stock, toasted sesame oil. This is where I keep my bacon grease. And yes, I do keep my bacon grease. It may look disgusting and it's super low right now, but do not throw your bacon grease away. Do not throw it down the sink. Put it in a jar. It's amazing. You can add like a tablespoon of this bacon grease to just about anything, and boom, it instantly tastes like bacon. Olive oil, get a big jar or a big container of olive oil if you can. Vinegars are great because you add vinegars, balsamic vinegar, regular vinegar, apple cider vinegar, white wine vinegar. I've got a big red wine vinegar back here way in the back. That is I've been adding red wine to that thing for years. It's got a mother in it. It keeps making delicious red wine vinegar. Coconut oil is great, especially if you're a vegetarian and you kind of want to add that meatiness to a lot of dishes. I've got Crisco back here because we were using Crisco in the late night diner. I don't use it a ton, but it is good for baking. And then your normal vegetable oil. Not super important for right now when you're locked in, but you do need oil. It's a good substitute for butter because butter is going to go bad after a couple weeks. Obviously, get your munchies. I'm not a huge fan of munchies filled with preservatives and things like that, but get your Doritos, get your nacho chips, get those kind of things. We are locked in. We're watching a lot of movies. You need that kind of stuff as well. I get it. Go ahead and let yourself eat the junk food. It's only a couple weeks that we're locked away. You can work that junk food off in the spring. Trust me. I don't know about you, but I already feel like I want to run about a marathon the minute we're allowed to leave the house. So you can run it all off. Don't worry about it. Nuts are great. Keep a lot of nuts in your pantry. They last for quite a while. This is a huge container for two of us. We took like half this, stick it in a Ziploc freezer bag and throw it in your freezer. It lets the nuts stay a lot longer and they don't go rancid. I got trail mix back here. Little pre-made trail mixes are delicious and healthy and a good snack. Crackers, obviously. Yes, definitely crackers. They're a good snack as well. And when your stomach isn't feeling great, your mom used to give you the good old crackers. The crackers work. They absorb some of that yuck in your stomach, and just getting something in your stomach that is staying in your stomach is the ideal, and crackers definitely work there. Oyster crackers, popcorn, duh. I'm not a huge fan of microwave popcorn, but absolutely get your microwave popcorn. Or down here, I also have, the popcorn, organic if you can. Yummy. Let's see what else we got. Up to the top. Cereals, definitely. Breakfast, duh, the most important meal of the day. Again, I know you're not eating as much as you normally would right now, but eat a little bit. Try to get every single meal in so you're keeping your body's energy up and fighting any kind of infections or anything you may be coming into contact with. Cereal obviously lasts for a couple months. You got your cream of wheat, your steel cut oats. I've got and lots of bread. Bread, again, is only going to last, what, 2, maybe 3 weeks. So stock up appropriately depending on um, you know, how many people you got in your house. Bread is, again, perfect when you're not feeling good. It's super easy to just make a piece of toast, a little bit of butter. Again, something in your stomach. That's what you need. All right, we're going to leave the pantry now, and I'm going to be super brave and show you my freezer, which has not been organized. It's just a lot of stuff thrown together. But here we go. Hubs is going to have a heart attack that I'm showing our freezer, but whatever. Let's go in here. All right, this is our freezer. Ew. It's so stuffed. It's a tiny little apartment freezer. But take your meat, get it portioned out into enough portions for however many people you have in your house. We've got 2. So get your chicken in individuals so you can just pull this out. I buy the chicken in giant bulks and put them in my freezer bags. That way, all I gotta do is pull this out, and I know this is exactly what I need for 2. If I'm having people over, which I'm not doing right now, but in the future, then I know to pull out 2 of these because it'd be 4. Stocks, if you happen to make any stocks, they freeze really well in freezer bags. Get them in the freezer bags, lay them down flat so they dry flat, and they're perfect to have in here. Again, we got all our meats kind of, cordoned off into individual portions. Stock yourself up with meats. If you're talking about, 2 to 3 weeks, I would meats, different kind of meats. Try to vary it up. The chickens come in big giant packages. The meats, ground beef, ground turkey, that all comes in, large portions that you can then portion out. Ice cream, hello. We may be, locked in, but we need to treat ourselves a little bit. Again, I said the baking aisle or the baking shelf was not that important, but I went in, this is my mom's, and then I went in and just make a bunch of banana bread. You got some bananas going bad, make banana bread, wrap them up really good, and you can pull those out the night before, and you have breakfast with your banana bread. Not a problem, right? Frozen veg. I've started talking about this a lot on my show. There is nothing wrong with frozen vegetables. In fact, fresh, obviously, is number 1. Frozen is number 2. Canned is number 3. If you have to get canned, get canned. The good thing about frozen is when this stuff is picked, it is frozen almost right away out of the field, and it's flash frozen. And what that does is that means this stuff is about as fresh as you're going to get, except for going right out into your garden and picking it. It is almost better than some of the grocery stores, especially if you live in a big city. Big cities, man, by the time they get some of this produce, it's already been picked for like a week or so, and all of a sudden, you're eating kind of old produce. This stuff was flash frozen, and this, when you defrost it, is almost like, it was just in the field. But again, spinach is great. Peas are great. They've got all kinds of like mixes and things, California style vegetables. So get some of these on hand. And it may sound weird, but when you have that fever, wrap these suckers in a towel, and they're super cold, and they're an ice pack as well. Just trying to be a little helpful, but I've done it before, and I'm sure some of you have. Potatoes, French fries, crispy crowns, all that kind of stuff. Get those in your freezers as well. Frozen fruit, you can't see that back there, but I've got lots of frozen strawberries, things like that. Definitely have your ice packs. I've got some egg rolls, yum. If you're making like a quick Asian dinner, chop it off with a nice egg roll. Get yourself some puff pastries. Get yourself some pie crust. You can make a pot pie. You can do a lot of different things with that. And please ask me if you have any questions. I'd be happy to give you suggestions for that. You can make waffles ahead of time and get them in your freezer too. We actually just ate ours, so they're not in here. That made me think of that. So that is that. Oh, and before I forget, frozen juices. It is impossible to keep juices fresh for more than about a week or 2. So these frozen juices are perfect. Yes, obviously you want the fresh squeeze. It's much better. But in this kind of situation where you're stuck indoors, this is going to work. So I got some lemonade. I got some orange juice. I got some moonshine, which obviously has nothing to do with this. But hey, moonshine in your fridge, not a bad thing either. All right, and now we're going to go in my sort of clean refrigerator. Here's the fridge. Again, get your half and half, get your milks. Those are only going to last about a week or two. As you can see, I got until May 17th, so I'm pretty good here. We got some leftovers. Stock up on the bubbly waters. Bubbly waters are perfect if, again, you're like Hubs and you do not like plain water. Go ahead and get yourself a dozen eggs or two. Those are going to last for about 2 or so weeks. Again, stock up on your basic produce, carrots, celery. I got some cabbage in there from the Kolkanen. Cabbage definitely lasts for a couple weeks. I got lots of cheeses and meats. Again, these are only going to last about a week or two. Go ahead and do the hot dogs with all the nitrates and the preservative. Go ahead and get the hard salami that is packaged up and not the deli version, because those packaged ones, normally I wouldn't say this, but the packaged ones are actually going to last longer. Yes, they have preservatives. We'll work those preservatives out and we'll do some healthy eating when we're done being locked in. And finally, make sure you got your citrus fruit going in a nice big bowl. I got 2 bowls actually of citrus fruit. Those citrus fruit are going to last for about 2 to 3 weeks. They're going to start getting a little wrinkly. That just means that the juice is evaporating out of it. Not a big deal. They're still good. There's still juice in there. There's still vitamins in there. But, eat them up in the next week or two. It's going to help you with all that vitamins, vitamin C, et cetera, et cetera. That, again, is going to help your body fight off any of the infections or anything like that. I'm not specifically talking about the virus that everyone's concerned about right now, but on top of that, you don't want to have a cold or you don't want to have just a normal flu, and then you're going to be more susceptible to getting the flu that everybody's worried about right now. So that is a trip through my pantry. Oh, one more thing. Let's talk about spices. Spices are so important. And if you can grab some spices, grab the basics. Grab the one that's called, the curry mix, or the one that's called like the fisherman's mix or something like that. Don't get the individual spices right now. Don't get the cinnamons and the cumin and the things like that. If you're rushing out and you got to grab 4 or 5 things, go for the mixes. Again, they do have some preservatives in them and some weird chemicals in them and stuff to help them keep longer. But right now, that's not your main concern. Your main concern is making sure that you have good flavors, because you can take all those spices and add them to some fish, add them to some chicken, to some pork chops, to your ground turkey, and instantly you've taken that plain ground turkey and now you've got like a curry burger. Or, you've taken that pork and now because you threw in some lemon pepper, you've got a delicious like lemony pork that you threw in with some soy and egg rice, and instantly you've got like a nice little faux Asian dish that you just put together. So grab those mixes. They're available. They're in the spice aisle. I was just there. They're in my spice aisle, and I'm in Chicago, and things are starting to look a little bare, quite a bit bare, as a matter of fact. Oh, and before I forget, squash. We've got squash, potatoes, onions, anything that's a root or things like that, or squash family. These look weird on the outside and they look like maybe they're bad. They're not. As long as they are nice and firm, man, these things will last in your pantry for weeks beyond when we are all back outside and able to grab stuff. So squash is great. Cut it in half. Pull out the seeds, a little bit of olive oil, and throw it in a pan in your oven, 400 degrees, 20 to 30 minutes, maybe 40 if it's a bigger one. And you've got some delicious, healthy, filled with vitamins, vegetables to build up your immunity. So I think that's it. Thank you guys for joining me. Yeah, they'll definitely restock. Come on. I mean, my grocery store, believe it or not, is already restocking. We just found toilet paper this morning, believe it or not. And here's another hint. My grocery store is open 24 hours a day. And so if you're trying to avoid people, 2 o'clock in the morning is not a bad time to go to the grocery store. 2 o'clock in the afternoon, mass chaos. 2 o'clock in the morning, nobody's there. So there's my little tip. Now you're all going to run out and now everybody's going to be there at 2 o'clock, but that's okay. Hit it at 2 o'clock. That is a great time to go to the grocery store right now because there are so few people out and you can avoid hitting people. Plus the shelves were stocked at night because they kind of do their stocking late at night. So you might actually find a little more. So that's it. I want to keep it under half an hour. Thank you guys so much for joining me. Please stay safe. And if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments from this video, or you can find me on Twitter it is at Cafe Mutant, not Mutant Cafe, at Cafe Mutant. Please ask me questions there. I will do the research if I don't know the answer to the question. I am here to help over the next couple weeks. Check out all of my videos. I just released my recipe guide, which also has a link to every single live video so you can cook along with me. I am here to help. All I want to do is help you. I got plenty of time over the next 2 weeks. Hubs and I are both working from home, so we're going to be driving each other crazy. I would love the diversion. Please ask me some questions, and I will help you make sure you are feeding yourself, feeding your family. Please keep safe, Kitchen Mutants, Mutant family, horror family, and everyone out there. I love y'all. Stay safe, and I will talk to you in the tweets. Bye, guys. Thanks for checking out my pantry. Have a great end of the weekend. Oh, don't forget, we're live tweeting 9 o'clock Eastern time tonight. Ed Wood, what a great movie. Don't miss it. Not going to make any sense tomorrow, but I'm sure there's another tweet tomorrow. So I will see you in the tweets. Bye, guys.